So you want to be good at Aatrox in Season 14? Well, this video ain't for you because this is just an item guide. Anyways, is Aatrox good this season? Yes, he is. Go spam games on him. Majority of my games were played on stream. So if you want to watch my stream, go check out my Twitch. Or you can just watch here in YouTube. I stream on both. I'm known as the full damage Unga Bungo coin flipper Aatrox player. Full damage is broken this season. Full tank is broken this season. Just kidding, it's not broken. But also bruiser builds are broken this season. A bruiser is for pussies. Full damage all the way every game. Now, I'll show you the item tier list for Aatrox in Season 14. But if you just want to see the builds on Aatrox, just skip to this timestamp. These are all the viable items on Aatrox, except for the F tier items. Do not build those. And if they're not on this list, yeah, those items just suck, unless I just missed out on one item. Anyways, S tier. Sundered Sky is beyond broken on Aatrox. No matter what kind of build you do, Sundered is core on all. Tank, bruiser, full damage, all of those builds, Sundered is core. This item alone is the highest damage item you can ever get on Aatrox, and the healing is way too broken. It's even better than Gore Drinker last season. It's almost comparable to Gore Drinker on release. Second is Eclipse. This item is very underrated. Everyone says it sucks. Now people are finding out that this item is broken on a lot of champions. The shield is broken, the item cost is very cheap, and you can snowball very hard with this item. It's even better versus bruisers and tanks. I recommend rushing this first if you're against like a Riven, a tank like Ornn, Malphite. Rush this item first. Third on this list is Youmuu's. This item again is underrated on Aatrox. It's best for players that know the limits of Aatrox. If you didn't know, Riot changed lethality. Now you get the full lethality value on buy. So that means Serrated Dirk is now very broken on Aatrox. And if you know the limits of Aatrox, Serrated Dirk with double longsword or longsword D-blade will one-shot anyone at level 6 or 7. So, I only recommend Youmuu's if you can snowball with Serrated Dirk because the build path for Youmuu's is OP. If you can't, Eclipse will actually outdamage Youmuu's in most case scenarios, and the gap gets even further if the target is tankier. Now, for the B tier list, which is controversial because why is Shirila's there? Reddit keeps saying it sucks. Don't get baited by those, please guys, please. Because it's League of Lethality. Aatrox's lethality build is OP, which means Shirila's is OP, which means you get a bunch of percent pen, which is better than last year's Shirila's versus bruisers and squishies. Now, for Spear Sojin.
Why isn't it an S tier? I need no S tier.
I don't know if you just understand it. Why isn't it in S tier? It's because I don't build this item and there's better options for full damage lethality Aatrox. But, if you do build Bruiser, this is the best Bruiser item because it gives 35 haste and it gives you a lot of damage still. So that being said, it would be an S tier if this was Bruiser meta. But it's Assassin meta for Aatrox this season. So yeah. And if you didn't know, Sundered and Spear Sojin, their damage is multiplicative. So if you deal negative damage, like 100 damage, without its passive, you'll deal 112 with its passive. But if you deal 1000 damage on your Qs with Spear Sojins without its passive, but then you fully stack it, you'll deal 1120 damage, which is insane. So just remember that. Same goes with Sundered Sky. Except for Sundered Sky, it has a higher multiplier, which is plus 50% damage on your autos. But it's actually bugged right now. It's plus 75% because it's giving a real crit. So if you deal 1000 on your auto with that Sundered, you'll deal 1750 on your auto, which is pretty insane. You won't see those numbers obviously unless they have 0 armor somehow. Next up is Profane Hydra, which I used to love and have it on S tier. But The item is just too expensive, and the build path is not that great compared to the other lethality items. Tiamat is just not good on Aatrox right now. But if you do complete this item, it's actually the highest damage standalone lethality item you can get on Aatrox right now. Next up is Jank Show, which is the best tank item on Aatrox, whether you're full damage or bruiser or tank. So you should always get this as your 4th item or your 5th item. But other than that, don't rush it. Please don't rush it. You need to get damage first. Ma is also included in this list because Aatrox is the best abuser of this item. You can get a 1k shield from Ma easily when you press your R, so it's pretty disgustingly broken. But if you're bruiser or tank, Fawn is better and Kanek Wrecker. Those are other options. And lastly, my favorite item, Prowler's 2.0 Voltaic Glyosword. It's broken on Aatrox. I'm kidding. It's like a niche. You only build this item for the slow, unlike Prowler's where you built it for the slow and the damage. That being said, you only build this item if you like the slow. Otherwise, if you're just building it for damage, it's actually slightly more than Yomu's, which I'll show you right now, which is kind of surprising. 580 actually makes a huge difference on Aatrox. Now for B tier items, you only want to build these items as your second last or your last item. That's why GA is in the top of the list, because GA has the most impact compared to all of these items. Death Stance would be over GA if you do build Death Stance as a second or third item. Otherwise, GA is just better than Death Stance in almost every situation. Sterix is still a core for bruisers. You build this as your third item. But other than that, it's just B tier because Bruiser is for pussies and it's assassin meta. Okay? Don't build Bruiser. Please, I beg. Full damage is better right now. And also there's Fawn and Hubris. Fawn, it's the best magic resist item if you're a Bruiser and you really need it, or tank. And Hubris is last because there's better lethality options right now. You only have room for this item as your third or fourth or last item. But if you are building it first, make sure you're hard snowballing. It's fine as your first item if you're hard snowballing. But if you're just building it just for the stats and you're just playing lane normally, don't build this item. It's just a bait. Now for the C tier, which is very surprising because we have 2 popular items in there. But first let's talk about Trinity. It's actually not as bad as you think. It's the highest damage bruiser item that you can rush on Aatrox. But after 2 or 3 items, it gets outscaled by every other bruiser build, which is pretty sad. Next up is Edge of Night. I used to hate this item a lot, but it started to make sense once I started testing this item. You buy this item early, second or third, because you get it for the raw stats. You don't get it for the shield. The shield is just something extra. Because you're a mid-range champ, it just gets popped randomly in fights. If you did have an insane gamp closer like old Aatrox, this item would be very good. But that's not the case. You're just getting it for the raw stats, which gets outclassed by every other item in the list. And lastly, Black Cleaver, the most controversial item on this list because it's in C tier. I don't know why Reddit users love this item so much. It's super garbage. You don't see any good high elo Aatrox player building this item. Aatrox is one of the suckiest users to stack up this item. Remember that W change that he just did a few months ago? Yeah, that magic damage change ruined Cleaver for Aatrox. That means Aatrox can't stack off of Cleaver with your W. That's 2 stacks gone for Aatrox. Rest in peace Cleaver, GG. And now, D tier, we have Ravenous Hydra. This item is just overshadowed by Profane Hydra. Aatrox already gets a bunch of lifesteal with his kit. That means stacking lifesteal doesn't benefit Aatrox that much. The only benefit Ravenous gives for Aatrox is lifestealing off of waves, and that's it. Iceborne is also down here, but that doesn't mean the item is bad. This item is still very good against AD comps, but other than that, you don't want to build this regularly. Now, for the last 2 items in the D tier list, Spirit Visage and Opportunity. These 2 items are overshadowed by every other item above. Spirit Visage is overshadowed by Maw and Fawn, and Opportunity is just overshadowed by every single lethality item on this list. If you do want to maximize your Q damage for one-shots, go for it. But if you want to play serious, don't build Opportunity because all the other lethality items are just better. Now, for the crit section, this is just for memes. Don't take this seriously. but this is the best crit Aatrox season. The build would go as Sundered Sky, Mortal Reminder, Collector, and Navori. With those 3 crit items, it both benefits your autos and your Qs, which is insane. It's actually more viable than you think. And now for the situational section. Only build these items if you have to. Serpent's Fang if you have a lot of shields, Randuins if they have 2 or more crit champs, Thornmail if they have like a Fiora or Irelia. But other than that, it's actually better to proc your anti-heal on your damage. So Mortal Reminder and Chempunk Sword would be better in those situations. But if you do need the armor and anti-heal, Thornmail is still viable. And finally, the F tier section, which Reddit will hate me. I do not know why Reddit loves Stridebreaker. Why do they love the garbage items? Stridebreaker, like Cleaver, what the heck Reddit? And they say Eclipse sucks too? What the heck Reddit, please. But anyways, F tier. Stridebreaker, garbage on Aatrox. Every other bruiser item overshadows Stridebreaker. You don't get any damage on the active anymore, and also the active is 20 seconds in cooldown, so garbage. Titanic is also an F tier because this is an auto attacker item. You get the passive by auto attacking. It doesn't give AD based off your bonus health anymore, so it doesn't benefit your Qs, only your auto attacks. Aatrox is not known as the Aatrox. That was old Aatrox. Feels bad. So now this is F tier. Another popular low elo Reddit item is Despair. I don't know why everyone loves this item so much. The passive takes forever to proc, 7 seconds or something, and you have no control of it proccing. So if the enemy runs away out of range of the item, sucks to be you, you're not getting the health and the healing. Rip you. Sucks to be low elo. I'm sorry. And the last item in this list, it's Hullbreaker. Do not touch this item. This item is for auto attackers, and Aatrox doesn't auto attack that much. So avoid this item at all costs. And that's everything for the tier list. If I missed an OP item somehow, my bad. But if the item is not in this list, that means the item's just garbage. So, sucks to suck. Anyways, let's get into the builds. Alright guys, here are all the builds for Aatrox in Season 14. It's actually patch 14.2 now. There's a lot of changes. One question might pop up is Stridebreaker good? Stridebreaker might be decent now on Aatrox, but I don't know what build you would go Stridebreaker. But anyways, I've been updating these builds throughout the 2 weeks. I've been procrastinating for 2 weeks, but it's little changes. But these are all of the builds I've actually played. So I've ordered them from favorite to least favorite, but that doesn't mean it's best to worst. Because one of the builds at the bottom, I don't like it, but they're very good. I know it's good, it's just too boring to play. So wait, am I recording? Guys, dude, I've recorded this like 10 times because I kept updating my builds. So now, I've decided this is the time I release a video. So anyways, let's get on the builds. Number 1, Prowlers 2.0. Voltigus Prowlers 2.0. That's why I named it. So this is the best build for me. I like it. I don't go this build like 99% of the time. I go like 60% of the time. But this is the ideal build for me. I like the damage, I like the dueling power of this. It's very good. The item path is very cheap with the 4 items. Oh yeah, and one thing to note is you don't need to follow the build path exactly, because sometimes you're forced to go Maw first, like against cannons or like heavy AP comps where you have like you're against an AP top and an AP jungle where you should go Maw first. So just take note of that. Also, there's variations of this which I'll also explain. But number 1 is this, and you can exchange this with Hubris if you're really snowballing, but it's kind of too late for Hubris at that point. Second is Duelist. I like this. It's good against dueling champs like Tryndamere, Fiora, Irelia. It's also good against Darius. It's very good against a lot of champs. So if you didn't know, Sundered and Eclipse is the best 2-item combo on Aatrox right now, unless they turbo buff some other item. The reason why Eclipse is the second best item is because the shield and the cost and the damage. It actually does a lot of damage. It outdamages Sojin in 1v1s. Not in team fighting because the stacks actually, you can stack up Sojin and you'll have the value of the stacks on multiple targets. Eclipse will outdamage Sojin in single target damage. So just remember that. And one thing to note is, I explained in the tier list, you start with a 200 shield, but mid game to late game, you get over 300 shield with ult. And you can proc that multiple times in a fight, which outclasses Sojin's health. So that's why Eclipse is OP. This is the best dueling build. I'd say this is the best build in this list so far. It's not my favorite build. Like number one is my favorite build. This is either first or second, which I'll get later why, or there's another build that's pretty good. Third is the Hubris build. Win lane, win game. No, there's not that much explanation there. If you win lane, build Hubris. But the ideal scenario is you have to have 2 or 3 kills before you build your item. So, as you know, Hubris builds with Caulfield Hammer, so it's flexible. So if you're building Warhammer, because you're building into Sundered, but then you realize you're snowballing lane really hard, you can build it into Hubris. Or if you're doing another strat where you build Serrated Dirk and Caulfield Hammer into Eclipse, those are things to note on. So if you have 2 or 3 kills and you haven't built your first item, but you're building Warhammer anyways, so it's like you're building into Hubris, you can go this build, but make sure you're able to 1v2 and you're proxying the enemy. If you can't proxy, that means you're not snowballing or you're not playing your lead right. So if you're able to proxy and cut off your enemy laner from getting to lane and killing them on the path to their lane, that means you're snowballing really hard and like top lane's over, you won lane. So this is when you get it. The next option, fourth, is Snowballer. Similar to this build, but this is more flexible. This is the build I was spamming in day 1. Actually, it was more like this. But I realized this combination is better because Sundered is broken. But if you want to snowball, focusing on snowball in lane and getting items as fast as possible and getting quick power spikes, Youmuu's into Eclipse is very OP. I sometimes go Sundered second, third, or I go fourth. The reason why like when to know you want to switch your path is, oh, you're not snowballing too hard, go Sundered second. Oh, you don't really need the armor pen, but you're snowballing, go Sundered third. Oh, you're not like, you're against a tank, but you're snowballing, go Shrielda's third. That's just how you build or be flexible in your build order with this build. Anyways, there's this guy named Xiao Ming, a very popular Aatrox one trick in the Super server or some other Chinese server. He plays on the Super server and another Chinese server, but he's very popular. He's a very aggressive Aatrox player, full damage like me. He's going Serrated Dirk into Eclipse. So that's why I noted earlier that if you're building Serrated Dirk in Caulfield Hammer, you can just go Hubris if you're going his strat, if you're snowballing really hard. But in this build, I actually just rush Youmuu's right away. I don't go Serrated Dirk into Youmuu's. It's because I just want the quick lethality. Lethality is buff, that's why. But if you want to go Serrated Dirk into Eclipse, that's fine too. It makes your laning a bit safer, and but you just delay your first item spike by a bit. It's not too like crazy. It's fine. It's slightly better if you go Serrated Dirk into Eclipse. Voice crack. But Youmuu's, if this is a snowballing build, so just rush Youmuu's if you're snowballing. But yeah, sometimes you can go what Xiao Ming is doing, his build order. Fifth build, Degenerate Champ Builders. This is like an anti-Fiora Irelia build and Olaf. specifically versus Irelia and Fiora, this is the best build, I'd say, because you're very strong with 1v1s in here, not as strong with Eclipse, but you can kite the hell out of them with Voltaic. That's the reason why. And they can, if you're snowballing hard, they can never ever run away from you. And also you get anti-heal here. Ignore the 4th item, that's just a meme. You can just go Eclipse here, or Edge of Night, or like Maw or Death Stance. Any situational item. It's just a meme because like it's funny because you're building crit. I did build Mortal Reminder last season against Fiora and Aurelius. It's very good. Even Darius's. So yeah, if they have a lot of healing, Mortal Reminder is very good still. It's not as good as Shrielda's versus Squishies and Bruisers, but it's still good if they have anti-healing. It'll outvalue Shrielda's. But if not, if you want raw damage, go Shrielda's. Season 14 crit Aatrox. This is the crit Aatrox build. If you want to have fun, some off-meta pick or off-meta build, crit Aatrox works. This is one of his best seasons. You can replace GA with like Shield Bow or Bloodthirster to get like 80% crit. The reason why this works now is because this item guarantees crits, and all of these items increase your ability damage and your auto damage, and you get enough ability haste here. One thing you can like change here is going Collector Second. Collector Second might be better now because patch 14.2 people have no armor for armor shards anymore, so Collector Second might be good here. So I'm gonna change that actually real quick. This build, I don't know what number build we're at. This is big bonk damage. This is not actually the ideal build, but if you want to see massive Q damage and you don't care about making the best build, you'll see massive Q damage with this build. It's actually crazy. But if you want to be serious and you want to have the highest damage possible and most impact, Sundered Second is better than Spear of Sojin. It outdamages and it outvalues Sojin by like a large mile, man. It's crazy. Go test it out, compare the two as a second item. But if you just want big Q damage, well, you want to see those 1.7k Q damage without hubris, this is the build. These 3 item spikes is kinda crazy, and you can just ignore Sundered and just go full lethality after. But that doesn't mean it's the best build. Highest damage build. Highest damage build is this build right here. Even if you go GA or the Hubris build, if you get stacks. If you get like 1 stack with Hubris, it will outdamage this build actually. Actually no, Profane is actually really broken. The active carries this build. Best for majority. This is the number 1 build or number 2 build. It's tied with Duelist. So same combo, Sundered Eclipse. This is the best combo, 2 item combo on Aatrox right now. That's ideal in most case scenarios. You can go Eclipse first if you're against heavy health stackers or tanks, or you can go Sundered still. Sundered still really good against tanks because the sustain is broken. But if you want damage, Eclipse will take care of that against health stackers and tanks. Sojin is 3rd. It gives HP and damage. This item is still really good. Like it's really good in this build here because you have heavy damage, you have CDR, you have health, you're tanky, and you have Jagshow here 4th. The reason why we're going Jagshow 4th here is because Jagshow is very good as a 3rd or 4th item. If you already have enough CDR and you don't have any resistance, other resistance. Sterx could go over, or it could be built first if you want more damage. But if you want the best stats possible, Jagshow is good here because you don't have any resistance in your first 3 items. You already have shields, you already have health. Jagshow will compensate the lack of armor and magic resist here. So that's good. But if you're building like Death Stance second or like Maw, that's when you... Wait, no, you can't build Maw with Sterx, never mind. If you build like Spirit Visage early or something, which is kind of troll. If you build Death Stance, basically, that's the only case scenario. That's when you can like exchange. Oh, where'd my build go? That's where you can exchange it. Anyway, just ignore that. It's gonna glitch out. I'm not ignoring it. And I'm glitching out. Okay. Standard build, this is what people are running most of the time. Without cleaver, obviously, but this would be the best standard build where they're rushing these three items first. Sundered, Sojin, Sterex. This is very good. You have a lot of health, a lunch of health, a lot of health, and you're giga tanky with this build. This build is busted. You can replace Cleaver with Spirit Visage with this because you have a bunch of health, and Sterex will get increased by Spirit Visage, same as your Sundered healing. This is where Spirit Visage is actually pretty good as a last item here, instead of the other magic resist items. And then here are the all options where you need to change like your fourth item or fifth item in one of these builds, or you need to build Maw first. So if you want to download this item set, join my Discord. It's gonna be in the description. Like, share, comment, sub, please, I beg. And also one thing to note, if you didn't see earlier in this video, I am streaming solely on Twitch now, not on YouTube. I'm not multi-streaming now. I became an affiliate, so I want to focus all my audience into one streaming platform. So, come join. I've been for funning it. My winner is bad. Yeah. But I'll. It's because I'm going for clips and trying to get clips out there to expose myself. But if I really want to play serious, like you can see my Smurfs last season, 70% win rate in Masters, multiple of them in multiple seasons. If I really want to play serious, I get a really high win rate. Um, but anyways, that's all. I'm gonna play Pal World now, streaming tomorrow now, though. Um, so I'll be back tomorrow. See you in the stream. Twitch, guys. I'm streaming on Twitch. Same name, Twitch. Peace.